Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Black Health and Wealth Show. I am your host, Kevin Boyette, and today we have with us Cortez Springer, the financial health mentor, and he's going to be talking to us today about Project 1000, the 3 keys to building wealth in the Black community. Good morning, Cortez.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you doing, man? Excited to be here with you guys on the Black Health and Wealth Show.
I'm doing great. So talk to me about this Project 1000. What exactly is that? How did it come about? And what are your plans?
Sure. As the financial health mentor, basically what I've been doing for the last 2 years is helping individual families increase their take-home pay, learn financial principles and strategies so they can position themselves to free up the cash they need to start investing. So earlier this year, I set a goal for myself. I said, you know what? To this point, I've helped nearly 300 families so far. And I said, you know what? I need to push that to 1,000. So that's where Project 1000 came from. In 2017, I'm going to help 1,000 families in the Black community start their own business in the financial education space, eliminate debt, and then free up the cash that they need to start investing and show them how that all works, so that we have a solid foundation of financial educators and crusaders to go out and bring financial literacy to our community.
Okay, so with the 1,000 families, how's that been going? You know, I know we're still early in 2017, but how's that been going?
So far we are solid at about 170, 175, something like that.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so we're growing. And the thing about it is each family, as they begin to learn and understand these principles, they're starting to tell sisters and brothers and cousins and nephews and uncles like, hey, there's somebody out here willing to give us their time to teach us some real financial principles and strategies. If you're willing to invest in yourself, you got to plug into Project 1000. And it's just starting to grow and get stronger and better as we go along.
So with these families, where is it that you start with them? I mean, because everybody is in different levels of financial literacy. Some folks, you know, are just at the rock bottom. Some folks may have some experience, you know, with budgeting or, you know, just some savings. You know, maybe they're saving some money every week in their 401k or their savings account. How do you determine that and, you know, and work with those different individuals on the different levels?
So what we've identified is that there's 4 main areas that keep people struggling financially. Number 1 is inflation. Number 2 is taxes. Number 3 is debt. And number 4 is insufficient accumulation of assets. So those things are killing everybody. One of those 4 is killing you in some shape or form. So what we decided to do is we've got a 3-step system that we're going to take people through. Number 1 is we're going to put them in a business of their own in the financial education space, whether they want one or not, right? A couple of reasons that we're going to do that.
Okay.
The reason that we're going to put them in a business in the financial education space is because as Black people, you know, like I know, we tend to need to be incentivized to do the things that we should just be doing, period, right?
Right.
So we know we need financial literacy in the community, but without a monetary incentive, not many of us are actually seeking that, right? You and I are cut from a different cloth, so we want to build wealth. We know where it comes from, so we're seeking that out, and nobody has to pay us to do that. The average working class person is saying, I don't have the time to pick up a Robert Kiyosaki or a Dennis Kimbro book on finances and start self-educating myself, right? So when you position it in a way that, you know what, if you find the time to learn this stuff, we can show you how to build an income from it, right? So that gives them an extra incentive to do what we should be doing anyway. We should be gaining financial knowledge to pass on to our children and start doing that. But so that's number 1 is we need financial literacy in the community by giving people an incentive to get that financial education. We're putting them in the business. Second reason we're putting them in the business is because when you are in the business of your own, you get to access the other side of the tax code, right? As an employee, you get about 15 deductions that you are able to take and monetize and capitalize on.
Right.
As a business owner, there's over 450 of those deductions. So we want people to access the other side of the tax code because it's in my opinion that the tax code is the #1 wealth building tool in all the world. But just like any other tool, there's only a few people that know how to use them effectively and efficiently. You put a jigsaw in my hand, bro, I couldn't do nothing with it. You put a jigsaw in the hand of a master carpenter and they can do something special with it. Well, the tax code is a tool the same way. So we're teaching people how to use that tool to build wealth.
Okay.
Third reason we're putting them in the business is because we need to start modeling something different for our children. If your children only see you get up, go to work, pay bills, and do that all over again, chances are when they get to your age and your stage in life, they'll be doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
Put them in a position to model something different to their children. And then the fourth reason is, as a community, the more of us who start to understand entrepreneurship, the better position we can be in, so that we can stop complaining about the white man not giving us a job and be able to provide jobs for our own kids when they graduate college. So how cool would it be your kid graduates college with their specialty degree and they come home and use that knowledge to grow the family business? So those are the things that we're trying to incorporate. And we know that all wealthy people have got some sort of business enterprise in their wealth building portfolio. So we're trying to help them understand that as one of the first key solutions to building wealth in the Black community.
Now, I want to back up for a second, because you talked about folks picking up like a Robert Kiyosaki book or Dennis Kimbrough book. In your opinion, where did reading become kryptonite?
You know what? I think two things happened to us early on in life. I think the advent of the television as the babysitter is critical, because before everybody had a television in every room, reading was a decent form of entertainment, right? You start putting a TV in every room now, it takes a little bit more work to pick up a book and read, and I can be entertained. And I don't even have to be, I can be really lazy in my entertainment. See, when I read a book, I actually have to imagine what's going on.
Right.
I watch TV, somebody else has already imagined that for me.
Okay.
So it allows me to be extremely lazy and be entertained at the same time. The other thing that I think that has happened is a combination of two things. We as parents and the school system have failed our children in getting them to be able to read at a efficient level. And you know, anything that you struggle to do, you're just likely to do more of it. So sometimes if we struggle with reading, then we tend to not read as much to get to a place where we enjoy reading and the benefits thereof. So I would say, TV and sitting here, we're in a generation where young parents literally sit their children in front of the television as a form of keeping them busy so that they can do other things. And that is one of the downfalls of us really starting to pick up books. And usually it takes a certain level of maturity to get back to that level, or it takes a passion to learn on your own and acquire that self-knowledge to get back into reading, because that's what it took for me. I got passionate about learning about our history, passionate about learning about where we could go as a people, where we come from, and that got me back into reading. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have picked up a book if I didn't develop some passions in some other areas in my life. Okay.
So let's talk about these 3 steps to, building wealth in the Black community.
Yes.
So I know that, we've talked about the Project 1000 and the steps that you take those folks through, but on the bigger scale, what do you see are the 3 steps for building wealth in the Black community?
Sure. Step number 1 is debt elimination, right? See, the Bible talks about no man being able to love 2 masters, serve 2 masters, unless he's going to love the one, he's going to hate the other. Well, when you're drowning in debt, you are actually in servitude to debt as your master. As a result, you're in love with that master and you're hating the other master, which is who? It's you, your family, your legacy. So you can't build wealth for the Rothschilds and JP Morgan Chase and all these other bankers and yourself at the same time. So step number 1 is we have to understand what debt is really doing to us in order to overcome it as a challenge. See, I really get on my fellas and my brothers out there because we are ordained by God to be the providers and the protectors of our families, and we do a good job. If somebody kicking in your door right now, Kevin, and your little daughter is there, there's no question it's going down, right?
Right.
To the death of me, somebody's gonna die here before you cause any harm to my family. Well, we don't see debt as that same type of enemy, and it is. It's literally killing us from a fundamental standpoint of our health, because we know that all health-related issues come from stress,
Right.
and we know that 80% of all stress-related issues come from financial discord, right? Literally killing us, causing heart attack, stroke, breakdown, other systems in the body that causes sickness and illness, and even cancers and all that kind of stuff can come
Right.
from stress. But then it is also killing our legacies. Because again, if you were earning the amount of interest that you're paying, you'd be wealthy. Right?
Okay.
Nothing wrong with interest, right?
Yeah.
We're on the wrong side. We're paying the interest. So every dollar you're paying interest on is a dollar you're not earning interest on. So number one, we have to understand what debt is doing to us. And we've got to, one of my members on my show came up with this term that we're using now. She said, because I talked about debt as being a combination of a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, Special Forces, because that's how debt really gets into every fiber of our being. And in order for you to overcome that, you're going to need to become a black ninja debt assassin, right? So you have to seriously take a look at debt and how to get that out of your life if you're going to build wealth. Because imagine if you had no debt, didn't have a mortgage, didn't have a car note, didn't have student loans. That's the average American is spending about $1,500 a month in interest payments. You're a financial educator. You know $1,500 a month could do properly invested at a decent rate of return, 8, 9, 10%,
Right.
over a long haul. So that's what we're missing, and that's why we're struggling to build wealth, is because we are drowning in debt.
Okay. Now, with the drowning in debt, and you're talking about eliminating debt and becoming the black ninja debt assassin.
Yeah.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
What steps do you take? Because, you talked about, a moment ago about people going to college. And so you got folks that are coming out of college with debt on their back. They've got a mortgage on their back when they, walk across that stage and pick up that cap and gown. So,
Right.
What steps or what things do you suggest to them so that they either don't get into that type of debt or can quickly eliminate that student loan debt?
Right.
The student loan debt is one of the biggest debts,
It is.
Student loan and consumer debt are the two biggest ones.
Yeah, and I foresee student loan debt probably being another big bubble that will crash the economy.
Oh, absolutely.
Very shortly. So what we teach is that this is the other reason that we go back to you having a business, right? Because what happens is when you have a business and you're working a job, so basically you have to eat. So I'm not the guy who's going to bash your job, right? Let your job be the seed capital to fund your business. But here's what most working class people don't understand about working on their job is 8 out of 10 people in this country have filled out their W-4 form on their job incorrectly. As a result, Uncle Sam is withholding too much money of their paycheck week in, week out, month in, month out, and that is the catalyst that you could use to eliminate debt. See, Uncle Sam in 2005 put out a publication that says, where is your return coming from? Talking about the return. And then it goes on to say that your return is coming from your wallet. You're giving us too much of your money, so we have to send out 100 million tax refund checks every year as a result of it. And it says some people know they're overpaying and they're using it as a forced savings.
Yeah, glorified savings account.
Yeah, they're using it as a forced savings. But when you struggle all year long and you finally get that big refund, chances are you're going to tend to celebrate because you've been struggling, and a lot of that is going to get away from you before you do something with it. So you're still losing both ways, right? you force yourself to save, get a refund, and then you blow it because you've been struggling all year long, or you blow it, or you need it to catch up on some debt.
Right.
The average person is overpaying taxes $200 to $400 per month. 8 out of 10 people. So what we realize is that working class people are living paycheck to paycheck for the most part. So all they need is a little bit of a catalyst and some discipline to get them over the hump. Well, where does the catalyst come from? It comes from Uncle Sam. So if you're one of those people who are overpaying your taxes $200 to $400 a month, we want to first review your W-4 form, how you got that thing completed, get it right side up, so that instead of giving Uncle Sam that $200 to $400 a month, you bring it back into your household, and then we put you in our software system that allows you to systematically allocate that newfound resource towards debt elimination. And we do similar to Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman talk about the positive snowball effect. Line your debts up, biggest to smallest, and you start knocking off those small debts, because it's going to give you a sense of accomplishment. Even if you just have a credit card and maybe got $1,000 limit, if you get an extra $200 to $400 a month, you throw all of that at that small credit card debt, it disappears. Now, whatever you was using to service that debt, you add that to the pot and you attack the next debt, and you keep going up that chain. So we help people understand the W-4 form and the tax situation, so that they can have a catalyst, just a few extra dollars, to start the process of debt elimination. Now, if you're in that other 20% that says, hey, my W-4 form is filled out correctly, I can't get a windfall that way, again, that's why it goes back to business. Let us show you how to earn an extra $100 a month, $200 a month, and then be disciplined with that and start your debt elimination process. So entrepreneurship plays a huge role in us being able to build economic empowerment in our community on a very fundamental and small level, and then also on a very huge and massive level as well. So if an individual understands entrepreneurship, how that affects how they're being taxed, how they can save $10,000 to $15,000 a year by writing off a portion of their lifestyle because they're business owners, and that's the money that we free up for our debt elimination program.
So basically what I hear you saying is, in order to eliminate the debt, if you aren't getting the windfall from Uncle Sam, first, start there if that's possible with changing the W-4. But also what I hear you saying is create an additional stream of income.
Yes.
Create this additional stream of income to, have some additional write-offs by having the business, and the money earned from that, put that towards the debt that you have in place to begin eliminating that debt that you were talking about going up that chain.
Exactly, Kevin. Every one of us has a special gift or talent. We all do something better than most. And we all do it so well that other people will either pay us to do it for them, pay us to do it with them, pay us to show them how to do it, or buy products from us that we recommend that will help them do it better.
Okay.
We're not talking about, see, some people's misconception of a business and entrepreneurship believe that if I start a business today, I need to look like Walmart by next week. No. I'm saying is, if you start a business today, you can produce something right now today that you can sell for $10, and you sell 10 of them a month, and you got $100 a month.
Right.
Elimination program, right? So all of us have that capability. It's just we're not taught and trained to look for the opportunities to serve people in those ways where we can generate income from.
Right, like one of the things that I, recommend to people is tutoring. There's a lot of kids out here that need help after school, so if you do it for an hour and you charge somebody $15, $25, to tutor them for an hour, you do that a couple times a week, like you said, you're talking $100 to $200 a month.
Yep. And then the place that we help them to identify that windfall of cash is by looking at your expenses. Where's your money currently going right now? I tell them to take out their bank statements for the last 90 days and go through them line by line to see where your money is actually going.
Right.
I have an idea of what we think is going,
Right.
But you're surprised how much of it is actually going to McDonald's and the fast food chain.
Right. You see it on paper. Yeah.
Yeah. When you see it on paper, you'd be surprised to see how much of it is actually going to the vending machine at work and all of those sorts of things.
Eating out for lunch.
Yeah.
The Starbucks coffee.
Very surprised to find $100 worth of online subscriptions that I was paying for every month for things I didn't even have access to log into anymore. Forgot passwords, forgot I even own the product or own the service. So that's another $100 a month that could be getting away from you that you could be using to start that debt elimination process.
Right. All right, so let's move to step 2 in building wealth in the Black community. What's step 2?
Step 2 is building and accumulating assets, right? There's 4 ways that you can accumulate wealth or acquire wealth in this country, right? You can buy it, build it, inherit it, or steal it, right? Now, we're on that Black Health and Wealth show, so we're not talking about stealing wealth, but we all watched the New Edition story, right?
Right.
We all watched the TLC story. We all watched the Tony Braxton story. We all watched. That's nice.
We've seen what's that on ESPN? Broke.
We've seen broke, and that's the type and shadow of stealing wealth, right? So we know that is done, and in fact, we're in a country where the entire country was stolen, right? But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole other show by itself.
A whole other show. So what are the other three options then? Inherit wealth, buy it, or build it. See, you can buy. So when I say inherit, that's us understanding financial instruments like insurance and things of that nature. A lot of us think that to inherit wealth, then my mom and my dad has to be wealthy or rich for them to do that. No, your mom or your dad just has to have the discipline to pay $40, $50, $60 a month for an insurance policy.
Or less. Or less in some cases. Yeah.
Less. So that's where wealth can be inherited, right? So what are the other 2 options? If there, once we get them to understand how to do that, you can buy it or you can build it, right? So when I say buy it, that is taking a portion of your check every time you get paid, and you use that to put into a 401k, maybe you or understand how stocks and bonds and mutual funds work. So that's buying assets. That's buying wealth.
Or in my case, I promote to folks that they should buy precious metals.
Precious metals. That's another way of buying wealth, right? But the reason we harp on entrepreneurship so much in Project 1000 is because of examples like a Bob Johnson, right? He built wealth, right? Took a $15,000 investment where he was able to buy the cable network for BET, and in 25 years, he turned that $15,000 investment into over $1 billion asset.
Right.
He built wealth. So we want people to understand that once you get yourself out of debt, first, once you get yourself financially literate, then you get yourself out of debt, you spend the rest of your life doing 2 things. The first thing you spend the rest of your life doing is buying income producing assets, right? That's what you spend your life doing. So that is step number 2 in our 3-step strategy to building wealth in the Black community. One of the 3 keys is we got to get into a place where we're accumulating assets. We spend way too much money on the consumerism, the consumer side of things, where we're buying junk, things that never appreciate in value whatsoever. And that is the very money that we could be using to buy our assets. See, I talk about the only wealth building formula that has ever existed in the world, that will ever exist, is cash, asset, cash. Or if you're not in the United States watching this, then it's currency, asset, currency. Whatever your currency is, you take a portion of it to buy, build, or invest in some sort of asset that's going to bring you back more currency, and you make that your habit, and you build wealth on autopilot.
Okay. So
step number 2.
Now, so with that being said, we talked about the assets, buying the assets and the various types of assets. Is there a time frame, or is that based on the individual and their situation? So what I'm saying is, there a time frame? So, you buy this asset. Are you looking for this return in a year? Are you looking for this return in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? what are you looking for on this asset?
Right. So that is an individual choice. What it depends on what your lifelong goals is. But for me and what I see for Black people is we need to be thinking 3, 4, 5 generations down the road.
Okay.
So I'm acquiring assets forever, right? Assets that I'm going to own forever, and it's going to be in my lineage forever, right?
Okay.
So you talk about acquiring gold, precious metal, right? That's something that you can own forever, that you can leverage the interest and things on those things forever, right? That's where we need to be thinking as Black people, because sometimes we invest and then we cash out and then we spend the cash.
Right. Yeah, right. There's for me, there's nothing worse than, like, maybe going into an apartment complex and seeing the parking lot lined up with Escalades and Mercedes and Jaguars and BMWs, the whole nine, but you don't own the building. You don't own the building. Or you've got this car with these nice rims on it and the tinted windows, but how often do you see the rims spinning?
Right.
When you're driving, you never see the rims spinning. So we're spending and wasting a lot of money trying to impress and entertain others that really have no meaning, for the most part, have no meaning in your world.
Yeah, and a lot of times we don't even like those people.
Right. I mean, you driving down the street, how many people, when you're driving down the street with your, music blasting, rims spinning, and none of these people that you're passing?
You're just hoping that they say, man, that's a nice car, but how does that help?
Right. It doesn't.
Man, that's a nice car. Right. So for me, it's asset accumulation for long-term wealth building and multi-generational wealth building. It doesn't mean that you can't leverage the income from assets. It doesn't mean you can't liquidate assets. But again, the formula is cash, asset, cash. So
right.
Even if I liquidate an asset and get my hands on some cash, what am I going to do with it?
Another asset.
I feel invest in another asset. That's going to give me more cash. Right. So when that becomes the formula, everything that we do, our thought processes change. And where we need to get to is like, okay, yes, Kiyosaki said it best. He said, when I wanted to buy a new Porsche, I didn't take money from my labor to go buy a new Porsche. I went and bought an apartment building, and the money from the apartment building paid for the Porsche.
Right.
That's the kind of thought process we have to have in the Black community if we're going to build wealth. I want us to stop looking at cash as money. See, cash is not money. Cash is time. Cash is time. See, what you did was you traded your time, and if it's $10 an hour, you traded 10 hours of your time to get that $100. And then you turn that $100 over and give it to Phil Knight for a pair of Jordans, right? So you say that I spent the $100 on a pair of Jordans. No, you didn't. You spent 10 hours of time on a pair of Jordans. Now let me ask you, is it worth it?
Right.
So when you start looking at it differently, wait a minute, you mean to tell me this $200 pair of Jordans, I make $10 an hour, I have to work 20 hours to be able to buy this pair of Jordans. Actually, I have to work more than that because $200 have to be taxed, so I might have to earn $300 to take home $200. So I gave away 30 hours of my life for this pair of shoes. Is it worth it?
To impress who?
Right. So when we start thinking about it like that, I think that's when we start having the paradigm shift, right? I spent 30 hours of my life to earn $300, which 100 of it got taxed. I brought home 200 to buy a bag, ladies, right? 30 hours of my life to buy a bag. Does that make sense? Is it worth what you had to go through on your job for those 30 hours to buy that bag?
Right.
So that's what you have to start thinking about. And that's why asset accumulation is the number 2 key to building wealth in the Black community, because it's not like we don't have access to the resource. We're touching almost $2 trillion every year.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm hearing you say that you're not actually saying is sacrifice.
Exactly.
What sacrifice are you willing to make to accumulate wealth?
Yes.
And if you're not willing to make that sacrifice, you're going to continue running in the same cycle that you've been running in.
Exactly. And your children will have to start over from scratch as we keep doing generation after generation after generation. Right
now, in speaking about the kids and asset accumulation, I'm going to, we may be poking a bear here. When you aren't working to become financially literate, if you're not working to build these assets in the community like you're talking about, are you neglecting that child in some ways? Are you really showing the love for your children that you say that you have?
Yeah, you absolutely are. You absolutely are. And to go back to your word sacrifice, all it takes is one generation.
Mm-hmm.
See, we watch TV, and TV paints this picture of a millionaire that's not real, right? So if you ever check out the Millionaire Next Door, and that book paints a clear picture of a millionaire, and it talks about the frugality of real millionaires, people who have a seven-figure net worth. It talks about the fact that real millionaires don't spend more than $300 on a suit. But TV shows us that wealthy people are spending thousands of dollars on a suit.
I gotta get an Armani suit, Rolex watch,
So that's part of the trickery. So as we're trying to buy all of that stuff to look like a millionaire, we never actually accumulate the wealth.
Right.
Right. So, and then the second thing, it goes back to how as a father, I have to protect my family from debt because it's protecting my legacy. Same thing when you're not accumulating wealth for your children. Not accumulating wealth, then that is a form of neglect. When you're not teaching your children entrepreneurship, that's a form of neglect. Because how many more generations will we keep saying, go to school, get an education so you can get a good job with benefits and you're going to be all right, when we are 4 or 5 generations of not being all right in a row?
Right.
So when do we change the narrative? And that's what we have to get to. And that's actually leads us into the third
point.
Right. The third key is we have to transfer the knowledge and the wealth to the children without taxation, right? So we got to figure out this estate thing and this estate planning thing so that when we depart from this earth, we're transferring that wealth to the children, but not only just the resources. If you've done it right, you brought your children up with them understanding. See, like me, my oldest son now is extremely upset with me, right? Because he's gotten to a grown, he didn't want to go to school, so we said, okay, you got a certain amount of time to get a full-time job, we'll help you get your own place. That never took place, so we had to tell him to leave, right? So he's extremely mad, and one of the reasons he's mad is because he's seen the transformation take place in me and in my wife, and in the sense that we are now in a better position to take better care of his younger brothers than we were when he was their age.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, I didn't get that when I was their age. Well, it's called evolution. So your father has evolved and learned some things that have put me in a better position to do better things for the kids. So if you're doing this right, your children see this evolution and you're bringing them along with you in this, and your children are starting to say, well, there was a time when we have all of this stuff for Christmas. Now all of a sudden you get one thing and dad keeps talking about where the money is going into some sort of fund that we're going to be all right when we're 35. See, they start to pick up on that, and as they start to mature in that, you're not only positioning yourself to transfer the resources, but you're transferring the knowledge to them as they're growing.
Right.
My kids get paid for working in my business, which is a tax write-off for me, tax-free for them. But they can't do what they want with that money.
Right.
Teaching them cash asset, cash now. I don't care what it is that you want to buy. Understand that you have to take a percentage of this money to buy, build, or invest in some sort of asset. Then you can do whatever it is you want to do,
right,
within reason. Right. So I'm teaching them those principles. And I think the other thing is when you look at the TV millionaire, we start to believe that it takes a whole lot of money first to get wealthy. No, it just takes a little bit of money invested consistently, right? Tony Robbins gave an illustration of a guy who invested 20% of his income, never made more than $14,000 per year in his lifetime as a UPS driver. The man retired worth $70 million.
Right.
He didn't have $70 million to start with, like most of us believe. He took a little bit of his $14,000 a year salary and invested it religiously.
Well, I mean, you talked about evolution and how you've evolved as a parent and evolved in your thinking regarding finances and money and those kinds of things. And I think that's what you're talking about. I mean, it's not like it was an overnight transformation and overnight your family, was able to do different things. It took some time, it took some planning, it took, once again, back to the word sacrifice, doing some things differently. But now we're in a better position than we were before. I mean, yes, maybe back then you could have had I don't know your finances and stuff, so you could have had the $500 suit and, the $200, shoes to go along with it. The jewelry, for the wife and all that other good stuff. But like you said, that stuff's not accumulating or appreciating or putting you all that in a position that if something were to happen to one of you, that the family's not suffering. The family's got no financial concerns. We're still, it may be a little rocky, it might even be a little bit of a bump, but we're still, we still have a roof over our head. We can still put food in our stomachs. We can still put gas in the vehicles and go where we need to go.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about, man. And I mean, seriously, we just have to start checking ourselves and look at where mass consumerism has gotten us. Right? So we have to get to a place where we understand ownership, and this is why Project 1000 is so important to me. Is because I'm of the opinion that a lot of leadership or a lot of so-called leaders in the Black community are trying to rally all 44 million Black people in America at the same page, at the same time, and all. No. If you look at the way the world is run, the 7 billion, 8 billion people on this planet, there is a handful of people with control of it all. So if I look at that as my model, I say, I don't need all 44 million Black people in America on my team to affect change in the Black community. I need a couple thousand independently wealthy that can affect change through their influence and what they're doing with their wealth, right? And if you look at how this world is set up, white America or Jewish America or Asian America all have us playing a part in their nation building process.
Even Hispanic America.
Yeah, even Hispanic America in their nation building process where we don't even realize we're taken apart. So I said, wait a minute. So if I sit back and look at how we respond and we react to certain things, then I, as a Black man, chances are, in order for me to affect my community, I have to go into my community thinking like a colonist, right? So I have to go in and colonize my own community the same way other nations do, and then I have to get them to move to the beat of my drum without letting them know that they're moving to the beat of my drum. See, that's how white America manipulates. That's how Jewish America manipulates Black America. Is they got us moving to the beat of their drum, but they're not saying you're doing this to affect white power because we want white power. No, they're saying, hey, you're doing this, you're buying this big screen TV because you want to, because you deserve to have it.
Right.
So
you want it, right?
Because you want it. So we have to get enough independently wealthy people together and say, you know what? In order for us to get the things that happen that we want to happen in our community, we have to manipulate our community the exact same way. So when they send their children to black schools, it's because they believe that they want to. But it's really because we own the media and we started planting those seeds. And then when they were babies, so by the time they became adults, they thought they believed wholeheartedly that they just want to send their children to HBCUs. But no, we've programmed them along the way to do that. See, we have to start programming our people differently in order to get them to move and do the things that we need them to do. And all the time, putting black power out in front ain't the best way to do it. Because
right.
Or having resistance to that, because that's too radical for some people, that's too aggressive for some people, but we still need people to be moving along a certain direction to get economic empowerment and community development where we want it to go.
I think one of the things that we can do is, that's very, very subtle, is that folks need to just step back for a moment when, and going back to the consumerism. Mm-hmm. And before you, put that cash down, before you put that card down, before you write that check, ask yourself one simple question. Is this something that I want, or is this something that I need?
Yeah, most definitely.
And once you can define needs and wants, and you get that aligned, I think the consumerism goes down.
It does. And when you start to understand the power of ownership and you start accumulating assets, consumerism also goes down. Because you get to a point where you say, hey, you know what? I'm about to sign my name on the line, or I'm about to take this $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 cash and buy this used whatever. And it's like, wait a minute. It took me 2 years to accumulate this $2,000. Right? Do I really want to let it go in one foul swoop on something that's not going to bring me something back?
Right.
And that kind of puts you in position. So when you have a serious wealth building game plan that also affects your yearning to consume meaningless stuff, right? Because it's like I can afford that, but it just don't make sense if my goal is to be at a certain place financially in a certain year. So that's what Project 1000 does. It holds people accountable to the dreams and aspirations that they say they have, gives them the tools, the resources, and everything that they need to actually get that stuff done. And then they are immersed in a community of people who are actually doing it with them. And that to me is probably the most powerful thing, because we all know that if you don't have somebody that's going to help you or support you in your aspirations to be successful in anything, finance, marriage, or whatever, then you're going to struggle. So
right.
You can get around a community of people who are saying, you know what? Yeah, I was tempted to buy me a new car this year too, but there's nothing wrong with the old one. And I started thinking that, hey, if I take this $500 a month that I'm going to pay on this new car and start investing that and let that grow for the same 6 years, 2 months that I would if I was giving it to somebody else, and that's $250,000.
Right.
So those kinds of conversations you start having with yourself when you get on a serious game plan to build wealth, a serious game plan to eliminate debt, a serious game plan to educate your descendants on financial matters so they can start shifting their thought process so we can start affecting real change in the community.
Now I have one final question for you.
Sure.
In accumulating the assets, okay? In your opinion, because we know that a lot of folks push home ownership. Is a house an asset or a liability?
It is a liability. And here's why I say that. See, I teach, if you don't own a home right now, what I teach people to do is own where you live. See, there's a difference in terminology right there. Don't focus on owning a home. That is the American dream that's designed to get you into slavery to debt. Because when you have a mortgage, then you lose your job. Because you become attached to this home, this American dream, you lose your job. Chances are, just to keep that home, you'll go take another job that pays you far less than what you're worth just to manage the debt. So don't necessarily focus on owning a home, but you do want to own where you live or own your residence. So if you have not already made your first home purchase, then take money or leverage debt to buy a single family dwelling. If you're gonna leverage debt, you might as well leverage it to buy a real asset. Leverage it to buy a multifamily, whether it's a duplex, four family, whatever. You own your residence, not a home, right? You're gonna get the dream home through this process, but get you a duplex where you can live rent free and have somebody else pay the mortgage.
Right.
You're leveraging the same $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 that you would if you bought a single family dwelling, but that single family dwelling is going to eat $1,500 a month.
Right. Or more.
Or more.
Or
right?
more. Right.
But
Because once again, we're trying to keep up with the Joneses and impress people and stuff like that. And that house is not bringing you in any income.
It's vacuuming away income. So I would say, especially single people, man, you don't have any kids and real responsibility right now, and you're thinking about making that first home purchase. I would say look at a single family, a duplex, a multifamily, so that you can live in one of the units and rent out the other one. And now what you're doing is you're building an asset, you're earning passive income, and then here's what it gives you the ability to do. Still, even though you live rent-free, still take that $700, $800, $900, whatever the rent would be for that place, and you take it and you put it in an investment as if you were paying rent, and you invest that money month over month over month. So now you got somebody else paying your mortgage and potentially paying you a couple $100 of passive income as well. You're investing the same amount that you would be paying for a mortgage or rent, and you're investing that time over time.
Right.
So now you're building two assets at one time. They're paying for your mortgage, and you're building an investment portfolio asset with the rent money that would normally be going out. But that takes, again, sacrifice and discipline. Because I live rent free, it's like the way we think, I don't have a rent to pay, so that means I can drive a nicer car.
Right.
And we got to flip that dichotomy of how we think. No, if I don't have rent to pay, that means I got more money freed up to get myself out of debt, or more money freed up to start buying more and more assets.
Right, to invest more and to make some other financial changes, or like you said, begin putting things in place to create that generational wealth for 2, 3, 4, 5 generations down.
Yeah.
Because you might not see the benefit of your efforts.
Yeah, I tell people all the time on my show that I know for a fact I'm not going to get to drive the Bentley, but my grandkids might not get to drive it either. But they could be chauffeured in one because of what I'm doing today.
Right.
See, that's a long range thought process, and that meme that floats around on Facebook that says, wealthy people prepare for 3 generations, poor people prepare for Saturday night.
Right.
We've got to get out of that mentality. We've got to get out of what if I don't live for 40 years? What is that pessimism? We've got to get out of that. And so I'm thinking, no, I'm planning to live. So when I get 40 years down the road, here's what I want my life to be like.
Right.
So that's it, man. We got to make some tough sacrifices. We've got to definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, take financial education seriously. Because there's nothing wrong with your scholastic education. You gotta know how to read, write, arithmetic. There's nothing wrong with vocational education. You gotta know how to do something to bring in some income. But school will never teach you financial education.
No.
Because the school system is run by the corporations that need employees.
Exactly.
Creating financially literate people, then as if I'm financially literate at 10 years old, I can take my allowance from the time I'm 10 years old to the time I'm 20 and mess around and never need a job ever.
Right, exactly.
So now I don't need to work. So they can't make you financially literate. That's what you have to do on your own. But if you do that as an adult, then you can build that into your children. And even on a deeper level, when you start to understand and let some of this stuff get in you, this stuff gets embedded in your DNA. and you naturally transfer it. So you don't even have to teach it. It just becomes instinctive.
Right. Because once again, kids will do a lot of what you see. I mean, of what they see you doing, you know. So if they see you, getting your paycheck and, Friday night just got paid, and you want to go out and party and you quote unquote get turned up on Friday, you get turned up on Saturday, you recovering in the bed all day on Sunday, and Monday now you back on the grind.
They think that's the life. They think that's supposed to be done. It's so funny that you say that. I tell people all the time that children pick up far more than they're taught. See, if you're not careful, they're picking up your bad habits. It's funny. I busted my son. He's 17 now. This was a couple years ago, mimicking me, how I talk to clients and prospects on the phone. And it was so funny that I didn't consciously realize he was listening. Now, I consciously know that I'm trying to set a certain environment in the house, but for my phone calls and things of that nature, I could put my son on the phone and he could probably close somebody just based on what he hears me saying.
Right.
And that's so funny. So when you think about it, when you change the conversation at the dinner table, when you change your association. See, I got 5 sons and I raised 2 other young men who came up to my house, a nephew and a cousin. And we changed the culture in the house. See, I don't hang around anybody who's not an entrepreneur. What that means for me and my children is when I have you and I'm busy and I say, hey man, can you grab my boys from basketball practice? And you say, yeah. If you're an entrepreneur, chances are I know what that conversation is like in the car.
Right.
Your phone, I know what that conversation is like. And that they're going to be picking that up all the time. Right. So I only hang around people who are creating the same environments for their children. I don't want you diluting my children's education and the culture that I'm creating because you're an employee and every time they're around you, the only thing you're talking about is get a job.
Or complaining about your job.
Complaining about your job and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You have to be very careful about the culture that you're creating in your household. And I want one of a strong, sound, financially literate family because we know and believe that creates the freedom that we want to have in 10, 15 years to really, really start to live. Because when you get money as an issue out of the way, you can really, really start to live this thing called life.
Well, Cortez, I want to thank you for your time today. You've put out a lot of good stuff. I can't wait to share it with folks, and I hope folks take some notes. How can folks reach you?
Couple ways. The best way, I would say, if you want to get 3 free gifts, then just go to my website, hcortezthornton.com. hcortezthornton.com for 3 free gifts. One of the gifts is a PDF copy of my book, Financial Health Profit Report. The other gift is a PDF download of a checklist that will teach you, if you're not already paying your children to work in your business and you're missing out on that tax deduction, then I'm gonna give you a PDF checklist that will allow you to set that up properly so you can start paying your children and not missing out on that tax deduction. And the third one is a private video that I did that talks about how to get higher returns on your investments if you like to invest in mutual funds, corporate bond funds, and things of that nature. I show you where to go, what to look for. And I think we were in Vanguard on that particular video, and we were looking at funds that were kicking out 10, 12% since the 60s, right? And people look at me like I'm crazy, and I say, man, you can get double-digit rates of return on your money relatively easily. You don't have to settle for this 2% CD. And
right.
That's not an investment when you consider taxes and inflation, right?
Not at all.
So those are the things so those 3 free gifts, if you go to hcortezthornton.com, you'll also be able to find out more about Project 1000, because I didn't say this early on, but I want you to be clear, it's not a free program. It does require an investment into yourself, but I guarantee you this, if you're willing to invest in yourself, we're willing to invest far more into you than the little bit of money that it will cost you to get started with us. So hcortezthornton.com is the best way for people to go and follow me, contact me. Of course, the social media platforms, Financial Health Mentor on YouTube, Financial Health Mentor on Facebook, or my profile on Facebook says Cortez Thornton.
Outstanding. Well, once again, thank you. I appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing, maybe we'll hook back up towards the end of the year and see if you reach that 1,000 goal.
Yes, sir. Most definitely, man. I appreciate you for having me on, man. I love the Black Health and Wealth Show, man. You're doing a great job with bringing this information to our community, man. It is so needed. And one of the areas that we have to get more into is media, so that we can control the narrative about who we are and what people think we are.
I appreciate the kind words, man. Thanks again for your time.
Awesome, man.
All right. Cool.
Good deal, man. Good deal.
So, yeah, it says that we recorded for an hour, but I know we got that gap for about 10 minutes or so that I got to get out.
Okay. All right. Cool beans, man. So do what you will with it, man, and let me know when the finished product is out there. I'll definitely promote it on all my networks and all that good stuff, man.
Cool. No, I will. I'll let you know when it's out. This weekend, it's the long holiday weekend.
Yeah.
So I've got some editing to do. I've got editing to do. I've got the show with Dre. I've got the the one with you, and so I've got LaTanya's coming on. LaTanya Carter.
Okay. Good deal.
With her Miss Tanya Speaks, Owning Your Happiness. We've got Erica Walker Thomas that's coming up. I'm doing a mixture of, males and females. Like I said, one of the things I want to do is, rather than calling it like a series, just introduce the folks to my friends. just put you all out there, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
All right, well, it's 11 o'clock. I got to get back to my job that's over here, this computer that's behind me. So I've heard a couple dings in the background on stuff that's going on. So I need to play catch up with these fools. Like you said, use the job to fund other stuff, because I'm working from home.
Right. All right, bro. So,
all right, man. I'll catch up.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Peace.